morning. Happy Thursday. I know I haven't been around for a while. It's been very, very busy around here. So the reason I'm coming to you today is the following. So one of the most common waivers, or in plain language pardons that we do, is called a 601A. That is the pardon forgiveness waiver. It's known in different communities by different names that people ask when they've crossed the border into the United States without surrendering themselves to the authorities and being processed or paroled into the United States. So let's say you're 21, you came across the border, you were not detained, and then now it's years later and you're married to a US citizen, and the US citizen petitions for you, and then you come to the point where you can't do the green card in the United States, you got to go back home, but you can't go back home because you need to do the waiver first in order not to get stuck abroad. Okay, so that's the process. People who are in that process are familiar and will know exactly what I'm talking about. What I want to touch on something different. Historically, this waiver has been around since the Obama administration, and the processing time, as with everything with immigration, has historically varied. A unfortunate combination of the Trump administration's policy towards USCIS and then COVID, which shut down the embassies for a very extended period of time and therefore created an even longer backlog, has now resulted in the fact that the 601A waiver is taking 3 years to process. Where does that create an issue? Multiple issues are created. One, people cannot move on with their lives because while the waiver is pending, you're kind of in a suspended state. You don't get a work authorization like with other applications. You do not get a social security number. And you are in limbo, right? You're waiting for your next step, and it's taking 3 years. There are avenues to expedite, and it is literally a request to the USCIS to expedite your waiver. And I have to tell you, based on several requests that we've made for different people over the last year, majority, 99% of them are denied. Even with people whose spouses or parents or whoever your qualifying relative is, when they have cancer, organ transplants, when they have horrendous and very difficult medical conditions, USCIS has denied. I think it's because they just don't have the ability to expedite it because there's so many people applying for that waiver. So that is just to address that. Yes, you don't get work authorization. Yes, you don't get social security number. Yes, the processing time is 3 years. No, your attorney did not lie to you when they said to you it's going to take a year, and now it's 3. There were circumstances that have, beyond any expectations, lengthened the processing time. Okay, so that's with that. Good news, maybe good news, possibly good news. There is a lawsuit. We're back to the lawsuit era. There's a lawsuit that has been filed within the last 2 weeks that says that there's an undue burden on people and that USCIS needs to be processing these waivers faster because they're leaving people in this suspended state of affairs where they cannot move on, they can't do anything else. They're like sitting there and waiting for 3 years, and 3 years is a long time. You could have started your waiver under the Biden administration and finished it under who knows what administration and what policies. Who knows if the next administration is going to be not as friendly to immigrant communities, and things may get worse. Those waivers may become moot, right? So we know that, everybody knows that, USCIS knows it, AILA knows it, people know it, everybody's frustrated. So when the situation gets this heated, there's a lawsuit. The lawsuit has been filed. We don't know how long the lawsuit is going to take, what the result is going to be, where it's going to get appealed, but there is a lawsuit. So there may be potentially an avenue forward where these waivers will start being processed sooner. Okay, so that's very important. That's the update. Hopefully, if there's preliminary injunction or a resolution, even if it decreases, I don't know, by a third, that's a year. That's a long time. From 3 years to 2 years, that's still progress. At this point, we'll take whatever we can get. And you have to understand, it's not the attorney's fault. It's not in the attorney's interest. No attorney wants to hold a processing time for 3 years. That just gives you a frustrated client who you can do nothing for, because there's no way to expedite it other than exigent circumstance, and those have been sometimes proven unsuccessful in a request to expedite. Okay, now that's a big part of what I wanted to talk to you about. The other part is that things that have been coming up, and what happens if you've done the waiver, got outside, got denied at the interview for reasons that they've discovered that there was at some point fraudulent document, and that you've been previously removed. Or what if you were in United States, got deported, and now your family member is petitioning for you again? You go to the embassy, get the denial in order to get the waiver, and now that waiver is approved. What if you've already gone to the embassy, got denied, applied for the appropriate waiver is approved? What happens next? What happens next is that you will, in overwhelming majority of cases, 99% of cases, are going to have another interview at the embassy. Chances, because of the processing time, chances are that the civil documents that you've submitted, like medical, you will have another interview at the embassy, because the embassy needs to have your passport in order to process your visa, and has to re-interview you, make sure that everything is in compliance, make sure they have everything like that. So a lot of people think that once they have the waiver, that automatically they get issued a visa. No, you have to go through sometimes a full, essentially, consular processing again, but majority of the time, just like a mini consular processing where you have to update all of the forms and required information with the embassy. Okay, so this comes up a lot where people get the approval and they're like, oh, when are they coming? What's happening and stuff? And when they have to hear that, we still have to reach out to the embassy. Embassy has to reprocess all the documents. Another interview has to happen. Majority of the time, another medical has to happen. People are like, oh, we thought we were at the end of the process. No, you're almost at the end of the process, but you are not fully there. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Those are the two updates that I wanted to discuss today. Please remember, every case is different. Every embassy has its own rules and regulations. They all are different. Some embassies will reach out to USCIS to get confirmation that the waiver was actually approved. Some embassy will work directly with us. Okay, so if your waiver has been approved and your loved one is overseas waiting for that approval, congratulations, you're almost there. Not quiet, but everything seems to be looking good for you. I'm happy that it's Thursday and soon it's Friday. It is very cold in New York City. I hope everybody's bundled up and has a hot cup of tea or coffee around. As always, please contact us for consultations, because every case is very unique, and one detail, one date, one fact can change the outcome of, or the actual process, not the outcome, but the process that we can or cannot do for you. All right. I'm happy to see everybody, and I will see you next week. Have a good day. Thank you.